Hey YouTubers, this is Ishtaq with you once again. As you may know from the other videos, I am a Philadelphia-based event and landscape photographer. I'm here with my baby son Adi once again with another episode of my video blog. And it's a lazy Labor Day afternoon. And if like me, you don't have anything to do, people are doing barbecue, there are dogs running around, this little baby is having a wonderful time, wondering who I'm talking to. It's a good time to go through and do some housekeeping on your photos. And in this episode, what we're going to be looking at is how to improve or maintain your Lightroom catalog. And believe it or not, it's very easy. It's easier to organize your photos than it is to organize a diaper bag. I can tell you that much from experience. He would beg to differ, I guess. The way I see it with Lightroom is that Lightroom is a lot like Fight Club. In Fight Club, the first rule was that you don't talk about Fight Club. And in Lightroom, the only thing you have to do is once you submit to Lightroom, once you enter Lightroom, once you use Lightroom to organize your photos, you do not use anything else. You do not use Finder on your Mac, you do not use Windows Explorer on your PC. If you are importing your photos to Lightroom, from that point onward, whatever it is you do with your photo, you should be doing it within Lightroom. And the software is amazing in that it has many ways of doing it. So if you feel the need to do something, and if you feel the urge to go to those outside native programs to do it, possibly there's something that you can use in Lightroom for that. And in this episode, we're going to look at some of those uses. So let's head on to the table and see what we can do.
Alright, so we are in Lightroom now, and the focus of this recording, today's tutorial, is to understand how to use the library module that you see. There are other modules, sequentially going. There's the develop module. After that, there's the book. In develop, mostly before we've been in the develop module. This is an old photo you're seeing, but in the develop module is where we play around with the photo. In the book module is where you can create different kinds of album mockups and things like that. You can come to the print module, and here you can do all sorts of things that you need to do in order to make your own print or export your photo to be printed by someone else. And then you can come to web, and you can publish in a web gallery all the photos you have. There are others. I'm right clicking here, so there was the map module, the slideshow module. I just hid a few of those because I don't use it. You know what, I don't think I'm going to be using the web module anytime. I don't use the print module anytime, so I can just limit this to the only few that I use. The reason why I showed this is in my workflow, or the way it is in my head, is that the first place where you start is the library module. Then you move on to the develop module to play with the photo and make all the edits you want. And sort of invisible after that is the Photoshop module, where you go to Photoshop after. And the way I say it is that the better your photo is, the more time you spend towards the beginning. So if you have taken a photo which needs a lot of work, not necessarily because the photo is bad, but in my case, in many cases, if there's a photo that's bad, if I forgot something, if there's a stray element and I need to fix it, what I do is I have to take it all the way to Photoshop. And if it's a good photo, all that I need to do is come to the library module and just make some basic changes and adjustments and things like that. So what do we do? What can we do here? Well, in the library module, here is an example of an album, just a set of photos that I took at a friend's wedding. And you can have your photos imported here. And to do that, what you do is you come to File, then Import Photos and Video, or Shift Command I or Shift Control I in Windows. And as soon as you press click that, you will be able to select a source. And if you have a USB where the photos are, or if it's an SD card where the photos are, that will show up as one of the sources. In this case, you don't see anything else. But if you need to add a source that's not here, what you do is you come to select a source, and then come to other source, and you can select, and of course the most recent ones are going to be there. So once you select the photos, you have the option of creating your build previews, and this is something a lot of people suggest that it might make sense to invest some time in creating one-to-one previews during the import part. This will involve some level of overhead, but it will increase your workflow tremendously, because every time you click on a photo in Lightroom, it takes some time to create, open up and show it big and create a new preview, things like that. So that helps if you want to do that. And also you can create smart previews, and you can create, you can see here, it's grayed out, but you can see here that you can create a second copy if you want to create a backup. You can add it to a collection, and we'll talk about collection in a little bit. And also, if you want, you can apply some develop settings. Remember, there was the library module and the develop module, and inside the develop module you have some settings. You can apply those. I have this user setting called lens profile, which all that does is it applies the enables the lens profile correction, and it also enables chromatic aberration removal, and also I think it sharpens the photo. It just moves the slider from 25 to 50. So I apply those to all images so that I don't forget to enable lens correction, so that the photo is not battled when it comes up. Also, if you want, you can have presets for metadata and keyboards, so you can apply all of that while an entire batch of photos are imported. And of course you can click and select which ones you want. It's very simple. Now these are already imported. Looking back, I think maybe I should have imported it live, but it can take some time, so I had it here before. So here are the photos, and you have the photos here, and let's say you forgot to apply any kind of metadata tagging. So what you can do is not that you can come here. I actually have it hidden here, but open this sidebar, and here you can apply the keywords. So I can have something like wedding, Pennsylvania, well, name of the the groom and bride, maybe the name of my name, Saffron Tales Photography. I can include those, and that'll be the keywords. I can have any other things that I want. I can have indoor, anything. And there will be suggestions as well. So it was a winter wedding, I can add winter. So there'll be suggestions. There are keyword sets. You can create your own ones. There are suggestions that they have here. So wedding related stuff, bride and family and people, candid, anything you want. So you can make use of these suggestions and the presets that are here. And then you come, and if you want, you can change file name. I usually don't. Copyright status, I apply copyrighted, and of course the copyright is my name, so I put that, and that's it. Here you have the date. It was 2010, sometime in 2010. Well, long time ago. No, I don't think it was in 2010. I think I didn't change the date. Yeah, I didn't change the date. In any case, so I meant the date in my camera. In any case, so here you have one photo which has all the metadata that you need. So just like anything else in Lightroom, you can select all of the photos. So select this one first, then press Command A or Control A, and then sync metadata. This will bring up the, give me just a second, did I click on it? Oh, there it is. Not sync settings. Let's see. Oh, I think it did sync actually. Yeah, so you can sync metadata, and that'll be it. And pressing Command D to, oh no, it didn't actually. Yeah, huh, that's odd. Oops. Let me select just a few and see if I can sync the metadata. I can. That's odd. I don't know why. Anyways, I'll look into that, but you can just sync metadata, and that'll be it. All that you have to do is it'll bring up a dialog box, and you'll hit OK. You have the option to include any other information that you want. You can have the ratings and whatnot. So that's simple stuff, just part of the workflow. Now what I do after this, and that's the most one of the most time consuming things is, you see there are close to 800 photos, and you need to know which ones you're going to keep and which ones you're not. And to do that, you have a few tools at your disposal, and the system you come up with is entirely up to you. Now what you can do is you can flag the photo. So you can flag a photo as a pick, as in something you want to use, or it can just have no flags, just a regular photo, or it can be a reject, and just like, okay, you know what a reject is, I'm not going to use it. Now you can also have ratings, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars that you can put. You can have color labels, and what I suggest is that you come up with a system of your own. And as high up as you go, it should be very strict. Something like a 5-star would be one of your absolute top works that you would put in a portfolio or something like that. 4 would be something very good. 2 would be, yeah, this is something I would include in the selected 30 photos that I publish on Facebook. 1 would be maybe, okay, the 200 photos that I think are good. So this is your opportunity to filter the photos, and to do that, you can do it here. Of course, you can, you see here that you can click on any dot here, and that will be the number of stars that you'll give it. Or I can press the number 3, and there you see the 3 stars are 0 and stars are gone. And also, if I want, I can mark these as pick or a reject. To mark it as a pick, I press P. You see it's flagged as pick, and you see this flag, the white flag in the top left. And if I want to mark this as a reject, I can press X, and it's marked as a reject. And if you want to toggle, say you have something and you want to toggle and you want to remove it, what you do is you click on the single quote icon, the one left to the number 1, and that's where it toggles from pick and remove flag. So if you want to remove, that's how you do it. If you want to apply a color, there are shortcuts for that. I believe the shortcut is, you see, if you come to set color flag, here you see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are for the stars, and then you have 6, 7, 8, and 9 for red, yellow, green, and blue. You can play with it and make any changes you want. In my workflow, for example, whenever I have photos where there are multiple photos merged, either to create a panorama or an HDR, I use the yellow label on those. So that's immediately a signal to me saying, all right, that's a photo that's that has a lot of that has multiple raw files included in it, and maybe something that's a red flag, or a bunch of photos that have the red color label would mean that they have the same settings, or they will need to be processed in Photoshop in the same batch, and things like that. So it's the system that you need to come up with. In my case, I have separate systems for when I'm processing landscape photos versus when I'm processing wedding and event photos. So to do this, to go through the photos, open up, and of course I find it more useful to have more space once I'm done. So I have this and this hidden away. You can, of course, when you work based on what you need, you can always bring them out, but it helps me when I have some more space to work with. So if I go through the photos very quickly, I'm just going to run down very quickly. This one, well, I don't think this is completely in focus, so I'd want to mark this as a reject. This one, yep, definitely other one was out of focus. This is not a reject. I'm not going to mark it as a pick yet. Moving on. Yeah, okay, photo. Little blurry, you see here, so a reject. Again, reject. I was just shooting burst. Well, maybe I can keep this, not rejecting yet. This is definitely a reject. Yeah, a photo to keep. This one's a little blurry, so reject, move on. Blurry, reject, move on. Then again, blurry, reject, move on. This is also a reject, move on. A reject, move on. Reject, move on. Oh, they're gonna hate me when they see these photos online. But yeah, so that's how you do it, right? And anytime you can press escape, or if you are in the single photo mode, you can either press escape or you can click here, and it's going to bring you back to this mosaic. And if you want to, say, once you have marked a bunch of photos as reject, and if you're shooting raw photos, that means a lot of disk space that you're not using. And in that case, well, you can always bring this up, or you can come to library, come here, click on, use on the attributes, click on this one, and it'll only show the rejected photos that you have. You can do the exact same thing down below here as well. You can select, instead of no filters, you can select flagged, and then select either the picks or the rejects, or well, it'll toggle. So there you go. It was showing the picks and rejects before, but now you see from this line here that it's only showing the rejects. So shift and click and right click, remove photos, delete from disk. That's what you do. All right, so that's a process of removing unwanted photos and cutting it down to only the photos that you want. And well, it's a very important thing to do. There are lots of other ways, shortcuts to do. I've seen people use game controllers, Xbox controllers, or there are lots of other tools and gadgets and things like that to make it go quickly. You can use your, what's it called, the Wacom tablets and things like that to do it, to press the buttons and do it. There are lots of ways, but there are the keyboard shortcuts. You can change it any way you want. So there's that. And if you come here for any photo, you'll notice that you have options such as exposure, clarity, and vibrance. This is why I said it might be easier to use a, if you take better photos, you maybe need to change just a little bit. If not, then you have to go to develop module and do a lot of different things. So there's that. And now once you're done with all of this and you need to save space, what do you do? Well, in my case, you'll notice here that there are some gray areas. That's because I have an external drive that connects here. So I'm connecting the drive, and these will become green, just like my hard drive icon here. And give it just a second to identify. There you go. So once I'm done with all of that, what I do is I just take all of these photos and I drag this. So this is an event, so I have an events folder. I take it, drag it, drop it on events, and that's it. And this is what I meant when I said in the intro that if you're using Lightroom, this is how you do it. If a photo you want to move or change or anything you want to do it from within Lightroom, not outside of it. And if you have by mistake done anything wrong, say you deleted a photo or you moved it outside, what you will see is on top of these photos, you'll see an exclamation mark. Click on that, and it'll make you it'll bring up a dialog box, and you'll be able to go to a location where you can point, okay, this is where I moved the file. So it'll identify not just that file, but all the other files around it as well. So that's a very nifty feature. And if you wanted to export these as a catalog, what you can do is you can come to edit, to file, and then export as catalog. And this will bring up the option of how many files, say I'm transferring, so I don't have all 800 now, but however number of files there were, you can take these and export those as a catalog to somewhere, so that anytime, it can be, for example, in a USB, you can export to a USB. You can open that USB catalog in a different machine, in a different instance of Lightroom, and you'll see the whole thing just like you see here. So it doesn't need to be in one catalog. So I hope you found that interesting and useful. There are also collections. I'll walk through collections later on. I don't mean to confuse you, but the thing about collections is that you can have, say you're in a wedding event, you can have a collection of photos for ceremony, for the dance, for the preparations, for the dress and the details and everything. So all you do is select photos, right click, or select photos, come here and just create a collection, then create a collection set. That's it. Very intuitive. I'll show this some other time, but for now I hope you found some use for this in terms of how to manage your catalog and how to sort your photos and keep it in separate places, move around, find them. Of course, you can search from metadata just like you could search from attributes. So there are those options. You can, if you put in those options, you can look up photos in terms of the lens you used and the camera you used, what was the focus you used, and all those things. So it's a fantastic thing, and you should really get into the habit of using it because it'll improve your life a lot as a photographer. So that's it for now. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.